Hey, what's up guys, John here. The biggest story in the world right now is the fall of the American city because it's falling so strategically. It was so well done. A couple of years ago, remember the conversation on defund the police and how police departments are bad? Maybe some of them were, maybe some of them weren't.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
Many are now demanding departments be defunded, dismantled, or outright abolished.
But when you look at the details and you look at the facts of what's happening right now, we're walking into a situation where all these police departments in major cities are about to get defunded. The cities are, as we know it, are about to fall flat on their face. And millions of Americans that live in these cities are about to go through a very, very, very difficult time due to what's going on with commercial real estate. It doesn't sound like, it's some interesting topic, some current event. But when you look at what's about to happen to all of us in America, you'll see just how big of a story this is. This is unreal. Now, many people don't realize this. Property taxes on office buildings and residential properties and real estate, they go in large part to funding street services, keeping the streets clean. Police departments keeping the city safe. School districts keeping the textbooks new and giving children a good experience with going to school. They give all of this, all of these different bits of revenue to keep these cities alive and well. But when you have properties, office properties falling in value by 80 or 90%, the tax revenue falls by 80 to 90%. And when you're in an inflationary world like what we're in right now, and you're seeing crime continue to skyrocket, and they don't have the money to fund these police departments, crime's about to get out of control. You're already seeing it in small bits in San Francisco and different areas where Rite Aid, Walgreens, and these big chains are closing up because they can't afford to stay in business because of how bad crime is.
Walgreens announced it is closing 5 more stores amid high retail theft in the city.
These 3 Target stores in the Bay Area will all be shut down. Target gave only one reason: retail theft.
Look, I'm telling you, what we've seen so far is nothing compared to what we're walking into. I'm going to show you the facts and show you exactly what we're facing in 2024, because this thing is unreal. It's the biggest story in the world. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. YouTube will share this content to educate the people about what's going on. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. I believe we're walking into the greatest wealth transfer in American history. You need great credit if you want to get funding. Take a look at this. So, U.S. banks could get slammed with $160 billion in losses. Saying commercial real estate faces the biggest crash since 2008. Look, this situation, 2008 was nothing. We're walking into a 1929 restructuring of America. That's what we're walking into. I'm not being dramatic. I mean, look at this. This seller bought this deal for $133 million in 2019. $133 million, just sold over $30 million, right? You think about how much that bank lost on just that one deal. Maybe on that $130 million deal, maybe the bank gave a loan of $90 million, $100 million bucks, and then it sells for 30. What does that mean? It means the bank probably lost 50 or 60 or 70 million on that one deal. On that one deal, not including, the realtors and all the other fees and transfer taxes and closing costs and all that, right? Now, this is happening throughout the entire country. 1 out of 10 commercial properties in America has to go back to the bank to get a new loan in the next 3 years from now until 2027. Like, this is so huge. Look at what just happened in Chicago. This building, how much do you think this massive building right here just sold for? $4 million. Sold for $4 million. How crazy is that? People are spending $4 million for a place in San Francisco, or a nice condo in San Francisco, a nice place in New York City, a nice condo in Miami. This entire building sold for $4 million. This property was previously purchased for $51 million 12 years ago. $51 million 12 years ago. Think about how much of a loss that is for the city when the tax base is going from a $50 million asset to a $4 million asset. What this does to all the comparables in the area, the banks are looking at this, and it's going to get harder and harder and harder for all these other buildings to get loans when it comes time for them to refinance. We're walking into a domino of problems that's spreading nationwide. And by the way, all these stories, this came out January 5th, right? This came out yesterday. This came out January 2nd. This just came out a couple days ago. All these stories, every single one I'm showing you, just came out usually within the last week, with the exception of one, which was November, which is this story here. This is November 3rd, November 8th, right? This massive building This sold for $80 million, right? $80 million in 2016. It just sold for $40 million. 50% haircut on this massive building in LA. Like a huge. Look at what's happening to Brookfield, one of the largest office companies in America. They're defaulting left, right, and center across their portfolios. They can't hold on. You look at other, like even Blackstone, they're sitting on $300 million, 300 million euros in loans they can't make up for in Europe right now. Like they're in really, really, really big trouble. They're in really big trouble. All of these companies are in big trouble, but the real loser here is America. That's the real loser because they're pushing us down in a very, very, very big way. Here's what I mean. This 3-day work week, you've heard them talking about a 3-day work week, a 4-day work week, saying this is a great thing. This is what Americans need. They don't want to work their entire lives to have nothing to show for it. People want to enjoy their life. They want to travel. Look, I agree. Inflation's out of control. Cost of living is absolutely insane. We all agree on that. But when you have to ask yourself, if you're working 3 days a week, 4 days a week, how do you pay off your bills? How do you get to a place where you could do those things, right? Are they just going to give free money away like they did in stimulus? I mean, they did that a couple times. How'd that work out for everybody? In return, we're sitting on the inflation that we're in. We're sitting in this new world that we're in. A lot of people would prefer to give back that money and go back to 2018, 2019. Now, going to a 3-day work week where, they're saying that machines will make our stuff and, they can make our food. Like, not many people probably would want that, right? But we're being pushed into a way to where these offices, they're going to continue to fall in value, and our work ethic in America is continuing to be challenged, right? So you have to ask yourself, what's going to happen with all these offices? What's going to happen with all these cities? I'm going to show you, because it's unreal. It started in 2023. So the dark blue is US, right? The light blue is Europe, and the red right here is Asia Pacific, right? And so 2023 it started. The next couple of years, this is like the real problem here from now until 2027. It's just going to get so bad where these offices are not going to be able to get these loans, because with commercial real estate, it's very different than residential. When you buy a home, you buy a 30-year fixed rate American home loan. Like that's what people get. 30 years fixed. They would know what their payments are. They make the payments every single month. And, at the end, they have a retirement plan. But with commercial real estate, every 3, 5, 7 years, usually maybe 10 years max, they have to go back to the bank and they have to try to get a new loan. And the bank will say, how much did this building bring in over the last 24 months? What are the expenses? What's the insurance, the taxes? They'll look at everything and say, okay, look, it's worth $100 million. We'll give you a loan for $70 million on this. And they'll say, okay, great. They'll put the $30 million down, and then they'll get the loan for 70, and then they're able to go buy that $100 million deal. Well, every time they have to refinance their loan, they're going through that same exact process. So if the value of the building falls 50, 70, 80%, what's going to happen? Banks are just going to take back the keys because the investor doesn't have the money, right? They're not going to be able to write a check for 20, 30 million to stay and do the deal. And why would they when they could go out there and they could buy these deals for $4, $5, $6, $7 million, pay all cash, not get any bank loan, right? This is what's going to happen. These banks are going to be suffering so many losses over the next couple of years. It's going to be huge. It's going to be unreal. And right now, they're already saying 44% of all office loans are underwater, right? They're at risk of default. So it's a problem. It's a big problem. But let me show you what their solution is, because you need to know what's about to happen to America. Now, this came out about a month ago, right? December 7th. It says how converting New York City office buildings to homes can help the environment. It's very interesting. Now, they say that 90%, right here, I'll show you, 90% of the buildings that will exist in the next 26 years have already been built. So if we can productively put them to use, it's a win for the city and for the environment, right? And they say, that they want to, curb this, and they want to really make everything much better. And so they're going to go through this entire process to convert all of these buildings to housing, right? And they continue to talk about this on a variety of different websites, saying that they're going to build all these different these new living standards with implementing and enforcing these energy regulations to increase housing stock. They say they want to build 1 billion new homes globally, right? It's a pretty big Target, right? And when you look at the cities, it's basically like all over America, all the big cities in America. And these are some really, really, really big names. Like these aren't small, like UK government. I mean, these aren't small names. IKEA, L'Oreal, you got George here, you got, FedEx, you have all the big companies. Like these are all very, very, very well established companies, World Bank, that probably aren't just, throwing out ideas. They probably have a real plan to get us there. And so if this is happening, right, this is happening, and the White House is offering $45 billion in federal funds to developers to convert these offices to homes, you have to ask yourself, how would city living look? Well, I would bet, if I were a betting man, I would bet that if office values fall dramatically because banks aren't going to lend on these buildings and investors are going to go out there and scoop up these deals for $3 million, $4 million, like this, right, like this Chicago deal, and they're able to tap into federal funds, $45 billion, and this is low interest rate, like they say low cost loans, right, already available. Then they can go repurpose these office buildings. Now there might be communal bathrooms. This isn't going to be some Ritz-Carlton experience, I can almost promise you, right? But it's going to be, some communal bathrooms, I would imagine, and they're going to go able to go tap into this funding from the government, and then they'll probably be able to do something to where the government guarantees the rent. Maybe some type of Section 8 or affordable housing to where the investor just gets monthly checks, boom, 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 like clockwork. And they look at this as one of the biggest investing opportunities. And that's what I think is going to happen here. I believe that these cities are going to go from having these massive, massive police departments, these overfunded schools, to being everything going online and drones and all this stuff, all this surveillance, all this technology basically running at 90 cents less than what they're currently spending, 90 cents to the dollar less. So they're going to spend a fraction of the penny. They're going to have way more data, technology, and information. And everything that we know about city living is about to change because of this. So yeah, the next couple of years, pay very, very, very close attention to what's happening in cities, because this is going to be spreading to every single city across the country. Every city across the country. 1 out of 10 commercial properties in America has to go back to the bank to get a new loan from now until 2027. You tell me what's going to happen. Big, big, big changes. And I think we're in the greatest wealth transfer in American history. People need to get positioned for it. They need to get prepared for it. They need to have a lot of cash, strong businesses, or a great job, maybe you work for a great boss that is just a really, really, really good guy or girl that has a really good head on their shoulders that you want to work with for years. Just be in a good, stable situation, because there's not going to be many things that are going to be stable the next couple of years. So put yourself in a good situation, be able to invest, get out of high interest rate credit card debt, high interest rate consumer debt, put yourself in the strongest position possible. Money equals options, and options equals wealth in this normal. Drop below, let's have a conversation. If you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you. GreatCreditFast.com. Catch you next video.